Hello boys and girls, and welcome to my windowsill. Today I'm not going to be showing you my plants or gardening. I wanted to show you something else. I'm going to show you outside my window. Now the window's open and you can see I have a lovely green tree outside of my window, and I have a very interesting thing here. And I have another very interesting thing hanging up here. I wonder if you can guess what they're for. Do you have any ideas? They're for birds. I'm feeding the birds with a couple of different kinds of bird feeder, and it's really lovely because I get to see lots of different birds that come outside my window to get some food. Now, it's usually the most important time to feed them in winter because that's when it's cold and it's harder for them to find food. Now it's a bit easier for them to find food, but I still like to keep feeding them because now is the time of year when they're going to be having their babies. So there are lots of nests around and lots of baby birds, and it's really helpful for their mummies and daddies if we give them some seed. I have seen lots of lovely birds outside my window. I've been very lucky. I have seen blue tits, these come most often with a lovely blue head. I've also seen coal tits, which look very similar to the blue tits, but their heads are black instead of blue. And I don't know if you can see this last video here. It's quite difficult, but if you look carefully, you can see a small grey bird with an orange tummy, and he hops up and down the wall. And this is called a nuthatch, and that's very exciting. So I'm going to show you how to make 3 different kinds of bird feeder, and today I'm going to start with the easiest one and show you what to do. So if you'd like to make your own bird feeder, keep watching. The first bird feeder I'm going to show you how to make, I think, is the easiest one, and it's called the loo roll bird feeder. So you will need just a loo roll, and the other important part is a twig or a stick. I picked this up from the garden. Maybe you could pick one up if you go to the park. Otherwise, a pencil is fine if you don't have any trees near you. You'll also need a knife, just a round flexible one is probably best, pair of scissors, some string to hang it up with, and I find a drawing pin is helpful because we're going to need to make some holes in the loo roll. Any kind of shallow dish or a plate for putting the seed in for when you're working with it. Now the kind of seed I've got, because it was the easiest to find, are sunflower seeds. As you can see, the sunflower here. And this is actually great because the kind of birds that like sunflower seeds are exactly the blue tits, the coal tits and the nuthatches. You can probably use any small kind of seeds. Be careful not to put anything too big out, otherwise it might attract pigeons or maybe even rats or something that you really don't want. So aim for smaller seeds, and don't put any salted peanuts or anything like that out because they're not very good for the birds either. And the other thing you need is some lard. Oops, that's upside down. This is the best. Don't use butter or margarine because, especially when it's hot, it will melt, and if it gets onto birds' wings, it stops them from flying so well. So lard is the best thing to use, I think, because it's good for the birds. It's also good, it gives them energy. If you don't have lard and you can't find any, I think it's also okay to use peanut butter or some honey as well. But as I say, the main thing is that it's nothing that will make the bird's wings too oily. So lard, if you can, I think it's probably best. Alright, let's get started. The first thing to do is to make some holes in your loo roll. One for the twig or your pencil to go through. So it's going to go through from one side, here's my cross, to the other one for the birds to sit on. And the top holes opposite each other are for string to hang up your bird feeder when you're finished. So as you can see, I have At the top, one cross marked, and opposite it exactly is another cross. So that's my 2 at the top, and then I also put 2 opposite each other at the bottom. Okay, so I find it easiest to use a drawing pin to pierce the middle of the cross, and that makes your hole and gets you started, because it can be quite tricky to do just with scissors. I would certainly ask, that was my drawing pin gone, have it back. I would certainly ask a parent to help you with this part, because it can be a little bit tricky. So I have 4 holes, and I'm just going to make the holes bigger using a pencil so that I can get the scissors inside. The top holes don't need to be too big, they just need to be big enough for string to go through. So probably it's actually big enough as it is already with the pencil. And depending on the size of the twig you found or your pencil for the bottom, you may need to use the scissors to cut. However, I think just using a pencil, I've managed to make it big enough for a pencil or for a twig to go through. So that's the 4 holes, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. But we're not going to put any string or any twigs in yet. We're going to leave them to the side. The next thing we need to do is to spread lard or peanut butter or honey over the loo roll so that we can stick the seed on. Now the next part can be very messy, so I would advise you to work using a mat and probably a plate as well. Make sure you're not working on anything that you mind if it gets a bit dirty, because it probably will. So I have my lard, you can see it's very white, and I'm going to use my knife to take a bit of the lard, and I'm just going to smear it all over the loo roll. It's quite fun, this part, so look at that. Yes, you'll probably get quite messy, but it is quite fun. Of course, make sure that your clothes are alright to get dirty too, or wear an apron or something, because you don't want to get lard all over your best clothes. That would be sad. Okay, I do a relatively thick layer and make sure it's coating the whole loo roll, because this is what's going to make the seed stick to it. There we are. There is my loo roll all coated in lard and very sticky. So the next thing we need to do is find our bird seed. My bird seed in the dish, or a plate is fine. It's all the sunflower seeds, and here is my loo roll covered in lard, and just roll it over and over in the seeds and they will start to stick. Look at that. And you want to keep rolling it and spreading out the seeds until the whole loo roll is covered in seed. Now at home you can keep going for a bit longer than I have to make sure all the gaps are filled in, but already you can see there are quite a lot of seeds on there for our happy birds. So that's the main part done. Now we just have to add the stick and the string. Now all we need to do is to hang up our bird feeder. I'm going to show you an alternative, which is a very simple way to hang it up if you don't want to make the holes in the loo roll, which is to take string and just thread it through each end of the loo roll. And there you are. It's very easy, and you can hang this up from a tree or your balcony or anywhere really, and it's just as good. But we have made the holes, and we're going to put the twig through to make a perch for the birds to sit on, which is also nice. So I'm going to take the twig and push it through the holes at the bottom carefully. There we are. There it is. So that's something for the birds to stand on while they're having their dinner of sunflower seeds. And the final thing is just to thread some string through the top. Now this can be a bit tricky, so you might want to ask someone to help you, or use a needle and thread, or I'm going to use a pencil to try and help push the string through the top hole. Let's see if we can get it to go through. That's it. And then we just need to push it through the other side. There we are, we did it. And that's it. You have made your loo roll bird feeder. And as I say, hopefully that will attract lots of lovely little birds to your window, and you can keep an eye out for them and tell me what you see. There are 2 other bird feeders I'll show you how to make another day, so if you've liked this one, then have a look at the other videos as well, watch out for them, and I'll show you how to make some more. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye bye.